reason, forced to stand against a wall, and being illegally searched by 4 officers who demanded that I show them some ID or go to jail. This was an experience which repeated itself so many times in my mid-20s that I became involved in providing assistance to others who had experienced the same or many times much worse treatment, sometimes resulting in physical injuries. I too have heard the stories of the humiliation and frustration of regular law-abiding community residents who are repeatedly stopped and frisked or tricked into consenting to a search. This is an all too common occurrence across neighborhoods and communities in the city. Too many of my peers have shared similarly frustrating stories of being stopped and searched for no apparent reason without explanation. This over-aggressive policing approach taken in these communities has led to a widespread feeling of mistrust towards the police. The issue of consent to a search without a warrant is a particularly important one. Intro 801 of the Community Safety Act actually requires that NYPD officers provide their name and rank as to the subjects of law enforcement activity, such as New Yorkers being stopped and frisked. The officer would have to provide the specific reason for the stop and a business card to the person being stopped that includes information on how to file a complaint. In my experience, this is a key issue that must be addressed, because often people who are stopped in my community are approached by undercover officers for questioning, don't even initially understand that they are dealing with a police encounter. This often leads to people not being identified who they were stopped by. Also, in my personal experience, I've seen officers on several occasions refusing to provide their name or badge number, as well as providing a false one. In addition, the Community Safety Act seeks to strengthen the ban on racial profiling by the NYPD, prohibiting NYPD from relying to any degree on race, ethnicity, religion, or other protected categories, with a few exceptions. In my opinion, this is a key component to restoring trust between law enforcement and affected communities, because when you talk to residents of my community, they often feel their race, their gender, their age is the determinative factor in their stops. A lot of times when people get stopped in my community, they're not aware of what their legal rights are relating to being searched, and are not aware that officers are required to obtain consent in most cases to proceed. This proposed legislation would actually end the practice of NYPD pressuring New Yorkers into consenting into wrongful searches. For example, searches that lead to the disproportionate arrest of Black and Latino New Yorkers for minor possessions of amount of marijuana. Police officers would actually have to explain to New Yorkers that they have the right to refuse a search if there is no probable cause. And I'll just say finally that the independent oversight that's called for in this is something that's sorely needed in the city. People felt that their complaints of police brutality would actually be fairly adjudicated or addressed. It would go a long way towards actually restoring some of the trust that has been damaged. So I'll basically end my comments there and ask for your support as well for this Community Safety Act. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. My name is Linda Sarsour. I'm the Executive Director at the Arab American Association of New York. And I'm here today to also join the call for passing the Community Safety Act. I came today from Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, home to the largest Arab American community in the state of New York. And as you've heard from the city council members, that this is not just about one discriminatory policy of the police department, which is stop and frisk. It's also about the surveillance of the entire Muslim American community in New York City, as well as Connecticut and New Jersey by the New York Police Department. The targeting and profiling of any group based upon race, ethnicity, and national origin not only reflects bias, but also is completely ineffective a means for law enforcement to prevent crime. And the Arab and Muslim communities in New York are guilty until proven innocent, which goes against everything our Constitution, our country stands for. NYPD officials, including Commissioner Kelly, who oversaw these initiatives, basically the spying on our businesses, religious institutions, civic associations, bookstores that clearly violate the civil rights of New Yorkers must be investigated and held accountable for their actions, and a process must be expediently implemented to safeguard that such abuses will never be justified by NYPD policy. This process is the passage of the Community Safety Act, and more specifically, the creation of the NYPD Inspector General. An Inspector General provides transparency, thus allowing the mayor and the city council to better exercise their oversight responsibilities and to increase public confidence in policing. The Inspector General would have the mandate, expertise, and perspective to make sure that as NYPD works to keep our community safe, they do so consistent with our constitutionally guaranteed liberties. quote, "I could tell you that I have never made a lead from rhetoric that came from a demographics report, and I'm here since 2006. I don't recall other ones prior to my arrival." These words are not my words. They were said by Assistant Chief of the NYPD, Thomas Galati, in a June 28th deposition. No leads translates to an ineffective program. And just to give you one last note, this was a AP exclusive story that came out today. Informant says NYPD paid him to bait Muslims, take photos inside mosques. This young man, a 19-year-old Bangladeshi American, who was an informant who was sent into our community, he's one of thousands of informants, was told to embrace a strategy called create and capture. He said it involved creating a conversation about jihad or terrorism, then capturing the response to send to the NYPD. Today, it's important that we're here today as African Americans, Latinos, and people of conscience in New York City to say that we will not stand for our communities to be criminalized. We demand respect and dignity for our communities because that's what we deserve. It's not what we're not asking for favors, we're asking for what we deserve. So together, we hope that the New York City Council, our speaker, and our mayor need to take accountability and to ensure that the Community Safety Act is passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is David Calalza. I'm with La Casita Comunal of Trinity Lutheran Church and also I'm a member of the Justice Committee, which is also a member of the Coalition for Police Reform, United for Police Reform. There's nothing clever, as a recent editorial in the New York Daily News suggested, about witnessing, recording, and describing the use of excessive force on a civilian by a police officer. But that's what I did last summer after I saw a man with a badge and a uniform body slam a teenager on the Sunset Park subway platform. I'm proud to have exposed that officer's conduct for the world to see, and I urge others who are concerned about the NYPD stop and frisk practices to do the same. Most of us now carry cell phone cameras in our pockets. We have access to YouTube, which is a free and easy platform for sharing video. We should use these tools daily, if necessary, to keep police officers honest. Police work for us. They should know that we're always watching them. In fact, I dread to think what else might have happened on the subway platform that day had it not been taping. Far too many New Yorkers, mostly black and Latino, not know exactly how 19-year-old Sean Pagan said he felt as he was being groped and then body slammed twice by police officer Michael O'Brien. Though unknown, numbers of others face similar treatment at the hands of the NYPD. The majority often lack witnesses and other resources to support their allegations of police misconduct or abuse. We can change that. At Trinity Lutheran Church, for instance, where I'm an active member and Reverend Sam Cruz is senior pastor, we strongly believe that monitoring the police contributes to public safety, which is why Trinity's new project at La Casita is working with other groups to provide training, such as Know Your Rights and Cop Watch, to members of its congregation and the community. We'll be arming members of our congregation with cameras, and we urge other congregations and groups in the city to do the same. Often, and not surprisingly, the NYPD rushes to defend completely unjustifiable and inexcusable acts when people of color are mistreated and abused. The NYPD rushes often to defend completely unjustifiable and inexcusable acts when they're committed by the NYPD. But when the communities of color are mistreated and abused, the department rushes often to malign the character of these victims.
Yes.
We've seen that often, time and again. That happened in the Pagan case. Police authorities were quick to tell the media he had a record of arrests including graffiti, vandalism, criminal mischief, and phone harassment, as though that in any way excused the officer's treatment of Sean Pagan. We strongly support the passage of the Community Safety Act, and we will work with CPR, our congregation, and others throughout the city to make sure that this package of fair and just legislation is passed at the City Council. Thank you.
Thank you.
How you guys doing?
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
My name is Ramel Galvin Johnson. I'm 21 years old. I'm a youth leader at Maple Road, New York, and a member of Communities United for Police Reform. I've been stopped and frisked about 20 times over the last 4 years, and all it has done to me is made me dislike the NYPD. On a New Year's, I was stopped while walking back to my apartment from the corner store. While walking out, my car pulled up. Next to me, 2 officers jumped out. The first officer yelled, "Happy New Year's. You got guns, right? I know you got guns. If you do, you want to spend this nice New Year's in jail." I didn't do anything wrong or have anything on me. So I felt uncomfortable that this officer had this idea about me. Before I knew it, I was spread against a wall with hands deep in my pockets. And I was just thinking, like, just the way to start this New Year's off, right? First they judged me, then they asked if I have guns, and finally I was put against a wall, searched, all for no reason. This has happened to me so much that I don't believe anymore that the police officers are here to keep me safe. I feel like cops are quicker to lock me up than to help me out. Every time I get stopped, I'm given an excuse. You look suspicious, you fit the description, or this is just part of our routine. East New York, where I live, is a place where not only the most stops happens, but where the most innocent stuff happens as well. 98 out of 100 people stop it. In East New York are not arrested or issued a summons. They are completely innocent. I feel we are talking only because of how we look and the skin color of our skin. And that's not cool. I hope this hearing today has allowed you to see and hear the voices that are most impacted from our communities. When community members like me are telling you that cops are doing harm than good, I expect you to listen. I'm here not only to share my story, but to actually immediately pass the Community Safety Act, a legislation package that will address the issue so that many people here today have talked about proper identification, consensual search, and non-day stops and real police accountability. So pass the Community Safety Act. Thank you.